Now see the second type of simple epithelia, and that is called simple cuboidal epithelia. Simple cuboidal epithelia. It's B. What is that simple cuboidal epithelia? It's all about the type of cells that is resting over the basement membrane. It is like this. Cube-like cells. They have basically cuboidal cells above the basement membrane. This is the basement membrane. And here it is cuboidal cells, cube-like cells arranged in a single line. Because of that cuboidal structure of cells, this kind of epithelia is called simple cuboidal epithelia. And remember, this kind of epithelia we can see if we talk about their distribution, their location. That is, first of all, we talk about the lining of ovary. The inner lining of ovary, also called germinal epithelia of ovary. Second, the lining of lens, eye lens. Third, in the renal tubule, the part of nephron. And fourth, the secretory portion of some glands like salivary glands, pancreas, and thyroid follicle. So remember that distribution of simple cuboidal epithelia. That's fine. That is lining of ovary, that is the general epithelia. The eye lenses, the renal tubule, that's a part of nephron. The secretory portion of some glands like salivary, pancreas, and thyroid follicle. That's fine. Now the modification, we can say, the modification of simple cuboidal epithelia, and that can be termed as the third type of simple epithelia, that is ciliated cuboidal epithelia. Remember this term called ciliated cuboidal epithelia. That is, the apical surface of the cells contains cilia. Suppose that is the part of cuboidal epithelia, and the free surface of epithelia contains a true cilia that originates from the basal body, that is made up of microtubules. There are true cilia that are present on the apical part of the simple cuboidal epithelia, and that is the structure called ciliated cuboidal epithelia. And remember, this kind of epithelia, cilia is the part of that provides movement. And whenever we talk about movement of anything in the body structure, we need either cilia or flagella. So ciliated cuboidal epithelia is present in those parts where some kind of movement is required. Like if we talk about respiratory tube in our bronchi and bronchioles, the upper bronchioles and the bronchi, It is lined with ciliated cuboidal epithelia, and that helps in the the expulsion of the mucus, the part of the dust that is mixed up with the mucus. So it helps in the expulsion of mucus that trap the dust that is coming through the air. So that kind of epithelia we can see in the bronchi and the bronchioles. So the lining of the bronchi and the bronchioles, we can find the structure of simple cuboidal epithelia. Example of that simple cuboidal epithelia is lining of inner bronchi and bronchioles. That's fine. And and what is the function of that simple cuboidal epithelia in that respiratory tract? It always pass mucus out towards the pharynx so that we can easily expel the dust that is coming through the air in our respiratory tube. That is the ciliated cuboidal epithelia. And one more is that is also a kind of modification of ciliated, modification of simple cuboidal epithelia, and that is called breast border cuboidal epithelia. What is that? Look at here. Third type is called, or we can say that is third type of your second type of modification of simple cuboidal epithelia, or we can say it is part D overall, and that is breast border cuboidal epithelia. Breast border cuboidal epithelia, and that breast border cuboidal epithelia is like this. And the apical part contains structure of microvilli. The invagination of this membrane this is the part of microvilli. And because of the presence of that microvilli, it increases the surface area. Free surface area is maximum with the presence of microvilli, and that is required in those areas of the body where we can talk about the absorption or reabsorption. And basically this kind of epithelia we can see in, suppose that is the part of woman's capsule, and here is the PCT, the renal tubule, the PCT. That area may contains simple cuboidal epithelia, but here we can see the highly breast border cuboidal epithelia, and we know that the PCT of the nephron, the proximal convoluted tubule, or the remaining part of the nephritic tubule, that the DCT also, collecting duct also, all contains this breast border cuboidal epithelia, and that enhance the surface area, that increase the surface area, and that increased surface area helps in better reabsorption. So that PCT, the breast border surface area or PCT, facilitate the process of reabsorption. That's fine. So the location of breast border cuboidal epithelia is the renal tubule, and that is mostly developed in PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, because PCT is the main site of tubular reabsorption, and most of the solutes and solvent get reabsorbed in your PCT only. That's fine. Now see the next type of epithelia, simple epithelia, that is called simple columnar epithelia. That's type, basically that is type E of the simple squamous, simple epithelia. Look at here. E type, that is called simple columnar epithelia. Simple columnar epithelia. And what is that? Suppose here is column-like cells. They have column-like cells like this, and nuclei are located near the basement membrane. Cells are relatively bigger in size, and they are rectangular shape. They have rectangular shape, column-like cells, and this is the part of simple columnar epithelia. And if we talk about their distribution, remember the most of the part of our alimentary canal, inner lining of alimentary canal, that starting from your from the esophagus to the large intestine, most of the glandular activities that is happening in your alimentary canal. So we can say this simple columnar epithelia, it lines the mucosal layer of alimentary canal basically from the esophagus to the large intestine. They mainly contains simple columnar epithelia. That's right. And if we talk about their modifications, like F is ciliated columnar epithelia. It means here the columnar cells contains the free surface of epithelia contains the cilia, and that is the part of ciliated columnar epithelia, and these kind of epithelia is mainly present in the trachea, lining of fallopian tube, where secondary site has to move from the infundibulum to the ampullary isthmus junction. So in the fallopian tube, there is the requirement of the movement of secondary oocyte. So cilia is required. And in the trachea, upper trachea, that creates very strong reflex to to expel any kind of dust particle, and that also need the cilia, the ciliary movement. So the ciliated columnar epithelia is mainly present in your trachea, and that is also present in the inner lining of fallopian tube. Similarly, if we talk about the type G, that is the breast border columnar epithelia, and the breast border columnar epithelia is like this. The structure is like this. Here is microvilli in the apical part. Microvilli in the apical part. This is the part of microvilli. And remember, this kind of structure is present in those area of alimentary canal where we talk about activity of absorption. That is basically the inner lining of the ileum and jejunum, where maximum absorption takes place. So this kind of epithelia is present in the inner lining of ileum and jejunum of small intestine, where we talk about the maximum part of absorption. Remember, there is called reabsorption that happens in the nephric tubules, where we see the structure of breast border cuboidal, and here it is the part of absorption, the activity of absorption that happens in the mostly happens in the the ileum and jejunum of small intestine, and here we can see the structure of breast border columnar epithelia. Now see the